So Basil, what's your book about?
My book is about the Progressive Socialist Party, the PLA, the People's Liberation Army. It's a history and a factorial book and a photography book that shows and expresses the images, and it speaks for itself.
And how long did you take to get all these photographs together?
It took me about 10 years, since 2008. I've been acquiring and collecting these images.
And who were the People's Liberation Army?
The People's Liberation Army were the full-fledged army of the Progressive Socialist Party.
And who formed the army?
Walid Jumblat formed the People's Liberation Army, forces of the martyr Kamal Jumblat, and they were dismantled in 1991.
And where are these photos taken?
This is taken in the Barouk, in the liberation of the Barouk,
Which year?
1984.
And this one?
These are females in training and also in mass writing in 78. And this is also in mass writing, but in 1980.
1980. Okay. Where were these taken?
These were taken in Barouk during live training with live ammo. This is using one tube Katyushas. These are D-30 cannons, Soviet made.
These ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
These people were on parade in Alay in 1980.
1980. And how do you know it's 1980, Alay?
1980 because they didn't wear these badges in 1982.
What I was interested in your collection is not only photographs, you have like a lot of other artifacts, right?
Yeah.
What is in your collection? Can you give us like some sense of what's there?
Medals, plaques, flags, pens, badges, posters.
This is your large collection of posters that you showed me also, and 2 drawers full of them, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have? You have like propaganda posters?
Propaganda posters and posters of martyrs and
And what about that one?
this one.
Mm.
That's another martyr. This is Nabil al-Ahmadi, codename Garo.
And what do you know about these people actually in these images? Do you know anything of them?
Garo was with us in my previous life,
Okay.
but he lived more than me.
And what about this flag?
This flag is an old flag, handmade. It flew high up in the position where we were stationed in Alay Hayl Gharbi, in the west end of Alay.
So when you say you were stationed, are you in your previous life?
Yes, basically. It's the same flag. Like they kept it hidden. My ex-commander kept it hidden in his house. You could see its rugged shape and like the colors are faded and.
So when were you born?
March 27, 1987.
You were born 1987, and when did Yusuf al-Jawhari die, you in your previous life?
February 26, 1984.
So when was you
As Yusuf al-Jawhari.
as Yusuf al-Jawhari born?
1967.
1967. Okay. And who's this actually?
This is my father from my previous life.
And this?
This is me in 2008.
So how old were you in 2008?
21.
21, okay. And what was it like to meet the father and the brothers and sisters of yourself in a past life?
Relief. Features on my face changed. My whole body language changed. It's like you got another person, you put him in a different person's body.
And was this the first time you met him, this picture?
Yes.
And what did you show up? Did you call first? How did it work?
I was waiting for him, but before I saw him, I was asking about my mom. And they said she passed away after your brother, Marwan, died.
And of course, what's obvious from this picture is that Fuad Jawhari, Yusuf Jawhari's father, was a sheikh from Druze sect. And the vast majority of fighters were Druze from the Progressive Socialist Party. And you and I were brought up in a Druze environment also. And one of the main things that distinguish Druze from other sects of Islam is the belief in reincarnation, which I think. And so, in the belief in the transmigration of soul after death is widely held. It's of course believed by Fuad Jawhari. Although the belief is that we all reincarnate, the only conditions by which one can remember a previous life is if someone died under tragic or painful circumstances, right?
Yes.
You told me once that actually Yusuf Jawhari remembers his past life too.
Yes.
Or, I mean, you in your past life remembered a past life.
Yes.
But do you remember that past life too? Or
I only remember my past life when I was Yusuf Jawhari, but according to my sister, she told me when I was Yusuf Jawhari, I was reincarnated as my grandfather, so my mother's father.
Right.
And when I was her father, I was reincarnated as a sheikh from Abi.
And what's this?
This is my family's house from my previous life.
They currently live here.
They live here still.
They live here.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all new. This is the old house. Well, you could still see parts of it or whatever is left of it.
And these images are in a folder in your archive called My Previous Life.
Yes.
And they're all dated from 2008. So this was the time when many of the kind of flashbacks came to you, or many of the...
These were after the flashbacks.
Right. And what about this place?
This was the shelter.
Okay. So this is the view from the shelter.
Inside, and this is the view from the outside, how it looks outside.
Okay. And this shelter, what happened inside?
People would just stay inside or take shelter from shelling, or would like shoot at other sides of the...
So you remembered this building from your previous life, or
Yes.
it was part of what they had told you?
No, I remember this building.
And was this recalling memories for you when you entered inside, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Like what?
Bombing raids,
Like
shelling.
this is a bomb that came through the... And where are we now?
Now, this is, let's see, if I'm looking correct, this is here, so this is where I fell here when I was injured.
You fell there.
Yeah.
So what happened?
I was hit here.
Okay.
Because shelling was starting to come down. We were running up. So I was injured and fell here.
In the shadow that the car is casting, that's where you remember?
Yeah.
And how was that confirmed by anyone? Did you?
Yes, two people.
So did you remember?
Fadi, there's a guy called Fadi Shayib.
Yeah.
And Ramzi Zahalan.
The guy who got injured at the time, but yeah. And when did you meet Ramzi Zahalan?
2008.
Same year, yeah.
When I went and I met him, he told me I was expecting you.
And what was that year like for you?
It was like a continuous journey, and it was like hell because I wanted to get something off of my shirt, and so many like questions I had.
And
It's not hell, but it was nice because there were problems bothering me. I wanted to find out. It was like closure.
and why wait till you were 21 to have that
I
feeling?
never had that opportunity.
Why?
My parents, they never even believed it.
So they told you to. They
They didn't even believe in the signs,
Right.
like at first.
And you fell and died here, or what happened?
I didn't die here, no. I was injured. Fadi Shayib carried me, he was about 15 years old, younger than me. I was 17 at the time. He put me in the pickup, the white pickup that I showed you, its picture. They took me to the Alay hospital. They said they couldn't receive anyone in the hospital. Then they told me, we're sorry, we can't receive him. Take him to Hamdan, to Shepherd. We're sorry, we can't receive him. Take him to Damascus. I died in the car, like in the pickup, like in the ambulance going.
On the way to Damascus.
Basically, yeah.
Did you reach Syria, or it was before?
I don't
You
know.
don't know. And where is Yusuf al-Jawhari's body now?
Jaramana.
Jaramana, in Syria. It was buried in Syria. And this is the house that you told me in 2008. This is where it all began, right?
Mhm.
So what began here? Like, what happened?
Memories and flashbacks.
And how? Like,
We would pass by this house a lot to go to our auntie's house in the village in the Matin.
and so you would keep passing this house, and you'd keep sort of like remembering as you
Yeah,
passed
even
it?
if you're going up or down, you have to take this highway or this road.
And this is actually down. No?
Yeah, this is downwards, this is upwards.
Okay. And this picture, when did you take this one of the same
I took
house?
this myself, but I took it from the side, like next to the car. I stood on this side, and I took this picture, same angle as this guy was taking his angle.
Because this, where did you find this picture?
Getty's Images,
And which year was this taken? you know?
89.
So this was taken 89. So you found this picture in Getty's Images,
Yeah.
and then you went back to that building and reconstructed the same camera angle of the building here. Okay.
Absolutely.
Were you looking specifically for images of this house, or did you just come across this by coincidence?
By coincidence, I never knew like there would be a picture in color of this house. It just came across me, and I wanted to see if I could purchase the image, but in HD from the photographer.
Were you often seeing things in your collection of photographs that you remembered?
Kind of, yeah. Everything that concerns Ali, I would put this next to it and just like try to relate.
Do you ever feel that sometimes it actually kind of disturbed your ability to remember because you're seeing so many pictures of other people, other fighters?
That's has not, like seeing just only the area of Ali would help me, and sometimes meeting people that used to know me would trigger some memories. Like sometimes I like I think this was like 2 months ago maybe. I bumped into a guy by coincidence who served in LA and who knew me by coincidence, and he told me, "You died here, I remember so and so." And he said, "You when you died, we carried you, we put you in a white pickup truck," which I remember, that's true. And you were only like 17 years old. and you were screaming.
And what were the earliest indications of your
Memories?
yeah, that you had memories, that you were even someone in a previous life?
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial and Arlington Cemetery in Washington,
Okay.
D.C. Arlington Cemetery, because there was so many graves, I would always take my father to tell him, I want you to read every single grave name on the grave, on every tombstone.
This is you at 5 or 6 years old?
I was 5 years old here.
And what was it about this this statue that actually kind of triggered your flashbacks?
Just the 3 fellow comrades.
It didn't matter that they were from a totally
No,
different
it didn't
time.
matter. It's just like there were 3 soldiers who died together, and yeah.
And then basically you just kept drawing Arlington from when you were like, this 3 soldiers statue, sorry, not Arlington. You kept drawing it from when you were like 5 all the way up until you were like 13. It has many, many images of it. This one,
Yeah.
again, this one. You kept drawing the statue.
This now gets different. You see now here, it's a bit mixture of Lebanese influence with the whole notion of
Memorials.
and you have when I started seeing Dar al-Taifi, I started putting it as the main image and the graves. And
So this is, yeah, it's a very kind of like U.S. military graveyard. We don't have anything like
yeah,
this
we don't
here.
have anything like that in our actual Dar al-Taifi, but you could see like the big building.
But you put the Lebanese flag, yeah.
Yeah.
So you started to draw memorials to the war, right? In the
Basically.
style of the U.S.
Yeah.
Also here, the same.
Same here, yeah. You could see here a soldier holding a gun.
And when did you draw these, you think?
This I drew in 95, 96.
When you were 9 years old.
Yes.
And this is interesting because you draw a grave with your own name on it.
Yeah.
When you're young. And what's this memorial site, this one?
This is the village memorial with all the martyrs on it, the
Yeah.
names of all the martyrs on it. My name was put down here, but they put the date wrong, which is which was February 26, 1984.
And they put 1989.
Yeah, they put March the 16th, 1989.
So, did you ever try and get them to correct it?
I told them many
Yeah.
times. They told me whoever made the plaque or marble engraving did it wrong, and most of the dates are wrong on it.
Ah, okay. So it's not really an adequate memorial as far as you're concerned.
No, some of the people are wrong on it.
So this is you in the clothes of you in a past life, right?
Yes.
And again, your father in a past life gave you the uniform that you died in, or just
Yes.
that you were fighting in, or?
He gave me my clothes of my past life.
And what was it like to kind of like get in the costume of you in a previous life? What did it do? What did it?
I don't know, scary.
It was scary. In what sense?
Like you feel like the person's still there,
Right.
like you're reliving it.
And this image?
This is the only existing picture I have of myself. But I don't know how old I am. According to what they told me, this is 6 or 7, I'm guessing. Maybe, I'm guessing.
And they took a picture of you without
Without
you knowing?
noticing, because they told me I didn't like the camera, and I never used to like taking pictures. This is the only picture they have of me.
So in your entire archive of like say thousands of images, many gigabytes of images, there's only this one image you have of Yusuf al-Jawhari in your previous life.
This is the only one, yeah.
And how young were you when you started fighting?
As young as 14 or 15.
And so do you think you could have been one of these kids here? Because this is from Alay, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
But you never looked at the faces in the background and tried to identify if any of them were Yusuf al-Jawhari?
I try, but it's hard to tell because I don't know how I looked like, and I still look for, till today, I still look for my picture. And I can't manage to find any although many of my ex-friends or ex-colleagues or ex-fighters who used to fight with me say, you may have pictures of you in LA if you go up and you search in LA.
But you don't know what you look like.
No,
so
I don't know what I look like. So I don't know how to figure out how I look like, or how am I going to identify that myself. Unless somebody tells me this is you, that's another story.
You got given a lot of personal photographs of people.
Yeah, basically.
And how did that come about? How did they give you this?
I would approach people, tell them I'm working on a project on making a book, and is it okay if you're willing to help by providing me with photos? First of all, they would get a bit insecure and tell me, we don't have photos, and why do you need photos? And they'd get a bit alarmed at first. After you open the subject about being reincarnated and who you were, and they'd mellow down, and then they'd invite you in, and then they'll show you, and then they'll help you out.
What are these pictures here?
These pictures show the capture of Ji, after the take of Ji, when the fighters took Ji in '84
And
from the Lebanese forces.
And well, what I can't help but notice when I look through this particular part of your archive,
Yes.
after this picture of the guy on the donkey, there was a lot of pictures of things which we cannot really show.
Yes.
It's bodies, it's things that could constitute, let's say, war crimes that have clear photographic documentation of.
Yes, yes.
Now, in '91, there's the amnesty law, so actually none of those can actually go to trial. And in turn, the byproduct of that is that, you know, a lot of people from my generation don't know not only what happened in Jiyeh, but what happened in all kinds of chapters of the war.
I agree.
They don't learn about it in school. And you're actually one of the only people from my generation who actively kind of historicize it in this very kind of intensive way. At least these chapters of the Shuf War. So I'm wondering, like, how do you deal with the elements of your archive that need to be or have been chosen to be erased by the state? You know, how do you deal with information that you have in your archive that might be important for your historical work, that might be important for your flashbacks, but that you cannot show and cannot be seen?
I think for the archive part, people gave me pictures just for archiving it, and for historical, like, records. Like, it's like, for our part, we have to have hard copy and records and facts and evidence that this happened.
So have you had any reaction to, like, from people who know what you have in your archive, some of the very sensitive stuff? Like,
yes, I had some reaction, because they told me this is very, very sensitive. This is a sensitive topic, sensitive stuff. Do not show it at all, and these are supposed to remain hidden, and you're not supposed to show them. Some people were like were a bit pro. They told me, no, we prefer, it's better if it's gonna be shown in a museum. It's better if you show it and show the world what really happened concerning some atrocities that happened towards us. Because there were people I interviewed and I talked to who remain anonymous. Some of them have admitted to crimes. Some of them have told me that they don't mind talking about it, or don't mind showing a couple of pictures, and some of them fear talking about it at all. Like they'd rather not talk about it at all, and just they'd say just change the subject. We'll talk about anything else, but not the subject.
I find it interesting from a generational perspective because you and I are from the same generation, but you also have a past life, right?
Yes.
So you're somehow from both the generation that fought in the war and my generation who knows nothing about the war, who
That's
wasn't taught anything about the war in the schools, who has been actively discouraged from finding things out. So as a historian, you're kind of like between two generations.
Yeah.
And how does that position make you able to kind of research things that, for example, many of us cannot? Or how has it compelled you to search for things?
It took a lot of work, to be honest. It wasn't easy. That's one thing I could tell you. Most of the people who had these images either burnt them or destroyed them.
And I want to ask you why you're doing this work.
I've seen so many old ex-fighters who live in misery. Like I met a guy who used to have a photo studio in downtown Beirut, who ended up living in like a small house that's probably as half of this, maybe a quarter of this room, and he barely even made nothing.
But
No one took care of him.
why do you think, let's say,
And
you-
other fighters
yeah.
also, like that, were neglected by the party. Even my parents, they lost 2 kids. Now, after my mom died after my second brother.
Wait, you mean from your past life?
Yes. After she died, the whole family collapsed.
And do you think if you had never remembered your reincarnation,
It's a hard question.
like if you were not there in that war, in your past life, would you have wanted to pursue this?
I wouldn't
Research.
have probably known about this party, no.